I know it's pretty common for us to rely on titles and rely on man-made titles and positions, even titles that are biblical. We use these as a mask and as a way to cover our shortcomings and to cover our pretty much our transgressions, pretty much our sinful behavior, and at times ungodly character. But this was never, God never condoned this in Scripture. We talk so much about the Torah. It is not mechanical. In the words of Paul, it is spiritual. The Torah is spiritual. The root of Torah is humility. That is the hill I will die on. And people like myself, Messianics, already get a bad rep because of our lack of love, because of our lack of patience, and because of our lack of empathy, understanding, forgiveness. The list goes on. But instead of taking heed, I see a lot of us wear that as a badge of honor. As if going against the fruits of the Spirit, which are reflected in the Torah, is a badge of honor. It's not a badge of honor. Titles can't produce character. They cannot produce good character. And the person behind that title, at the end of the day, is still a fallible, sinful human being that is purposely being used by God for His purposes. In spite of that, that's not a license to go and position yourself as somebody who's arrived. We see all the time different churches, different Catholic churches, people using and abusing their titles in a way that is perverse, in a way that is ungodly, and wretched, in a way that is repulsive. In that same vein, too many people use their title. They exploit these titles, whether they're apostle, pastor, leader, pope, guardian, Torah observant, watchman, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever people want to call themselves. People hide behind titles. They think their title is going to cover their ungodly character, and it doesn't. And in some ways, it exposes that. We cannot go around treating people as if they can't be saved and won't be saved, and deliver unto people what we would not want God to bring upon us, or at least be merciful in. It's grace and mercy, not one or the other. And yes, I'm against greasy grace all the way. Grace has been perverted by lukewarm and apostate religion to the highest degree. It has been abused so much. But we cannot use this as a cover-up and bash people over the head and generalize everyone as being one and the same. In the same manner, people don't like to be generalized as Torah keepers who are self-righteous and legalistic and aggressive Pharisees. We shouldn't do the same with everyone else. The enemy can use people for his purpose too, even those who profess God. And he has several times throughout history and throughout the course of this world and its existence. When you're being called by God, do not let your calling blind you. Do not let your calling get in the way of the fruits you should be producing in the midst of that calling. Because it can. And focusing on gifts without fruits can easily lead to sin. Pride. Mostly pride, because pride is the root of, it's like the mother of all sins. When you get prideful, then that's where everything else will fall. It's like a domino effect. And even though Passover is coming up and unleavened bread, this is not the only time where we should be getting the leaven out. It should be every day. And so often we're so caught up in what scripture doesn't mean. We're so caught up in passages like Matthew 7:1 and what it doesn't mean that we lose sight of what it does mean. And I'm glad to this day that Abba Yah is a judge, because not many out there are fit to be in God's position. Not that they can anyway. Trust no man. Love people as our Father does. Love what he loves, hate what he hates. But trust no man, because we're all fallible. Now granted, we need one another, but at the end of the day, your greatest teacher is the set apart spirit, and it will never lead you astray. Grace and shalom.